Welcome to Ireland, the land where tales of legends, ample opportunities and world-class education intertwine. According to QS World University Rankings, it's home to some of the world's finest institutions. They're innovation hubs with top-notch professors, groundbreaking research, and real-world projects that'll fuel your aspirations. As an international student, you can walk part-time and gain practical skills and some extra money while studying. And post your graduation, Ireland's booming economy opens doors to a range of job opportunities. Ireland is truly a cultural mosaic. Whether it's jamming to music, immersing in art, or festivities, the Irish know how to live life. So if you're looking to study in this unique destination, AECC is your trusted ally. Our free end-to-end services cover it all, from helping you choose your ideal university to obtaining a visa and settling in. Connect with AECC today and take the plunge. Fill out the contact form on our website to get started. Welcome to Ireland, the land where tales of legends, ample opportunities and world-class education intertwine. According to QS World University Rankings, it's home to some of the world's finest institutions. They're innovation hubs with top-notch professors, groundbreaking research, and real-world projects that'll fuel your aspirations. As an international student, you can walk part-time and gain practical skills and some extra money while studying. And post your graduation, Ireland's booming economy opens doors to a range of job opportunities. Ireland is truly a cultural mosaic. Whether it's jamming to music, immersing in art, or festivities, the Irish know how to live life. So if you're looking to study in this unique destination, AECC is your trusted ally. Our free end-to-end services cover it all, from helping you choose your ideal university to obtaining a visa and settling in. Connect with AECC today and take the plunge. Fill out the contact form on our website to get started. Welcome to Ireland, the land where tales of legends, ample opportunities and world-class education intertwine. According to QS World University Rankings, it's home to some of the world's finest institutions. They're innovation hubs with top-notch professors, groundbreaking research, and real-world projects that'll fuel your aspirations. As an international student, you can walk part-time and gain practical skills and some extra money while studying. And post your graduation, Ireland's booming economy opens doors to a range of job opportunities. Ireland is truly a cultural mosaic. Whether it's jamming to music, immersing in art, or festivities, the Irish know how to live life. So if you're looking to study in this unique destination, AECC is your trusted ally. Our free end-to-end services cover it all, from helping you choose your ideal university to obtaining a visa and settling in. Connect with AECC today and take the plunge. Fill out the contact form on our website to get started. Welcome to Ireland, the land where tales of legends, ample opportunities and world-class education intertwine. According to QS World University Rankings, it's home to some of the world's finest institutions. They're innovation hubs with top-notch professors, groundbreaking research, and real-world projects that'll fuel your aspirations. As an international student, you can walk part-time and gain practical skills and some extra money while studying. And post your graduation, Ireland's booming economy opens doors to a range of job opportunities. Ireland is truly a cultural mosaic. Whether it's jamming to music, immersing in art, or festivities, the Irish know how to live life. So if you're looking to study in this unique destination, AECC is your trusted ally. Our free end-to-end services cover it all, from helping you choose your ideal university to obtaining a visa and settling in. Connect with AECC today and take the plunge. Fill out the contact form on our website to get started. Welcome to Ireland, the land where tales of legends, ample opportunities and world-class education intertwine. According to QS World University Rankings, it's home to some of the world's finest institutions. They're innovation hubs with top-notch professors, groundbreaking research, and real-world projects that'll fuel your aspirations. As an international student, you can walk part-time and gain practical skills and some extra money while studying. And post your graduation, Ireland's booming economy opens doors to a range of job opportunities. Ireland is truly a cultural mosaic. Whether it's jamming to music, immersing in art, or festivities, the Irish know how to live life. So if you're looking to study in this unique destination, AECC is your trusted ally. Our free end-to-end services cover it all, from helping you choose your ideal university to obtaining a visa and settling in. Connect with AECC today and take the plunge. Fill out the contact form on our website to get started.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Fito. I'm from AECC Jakarta. Well, I'm so happy to welcome you all here for this webinar. So we have this why Ireland is a global hub for hospitality and tourism. Now we'll have here our speakers, Miss Sarah O'Mahony, and also we have Miss Celine Ryan and Mr. Shan Tirwain. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for giving the inform going to give information for this Indonesian students who are joining us today. So, without further ado, I'm just going to hand over the the webinar. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Vito. And thank you very much to everybody for joining. I know it's evening in Indonesia, but just afternoon for us here in Ireland. Good evening to everybody. My name is Sarah O'Mahony, and I'm the marketing manager for Shannon College of Hotel Management. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by two of my colleagues from Shannon College of Hotel Management. We have Miss Celine Ryan, who is going to be speaking to you today about sustainability in tourism and Ireland as a sustainable hospitality location. And then we have Dr. Sean T. Ruan, who is going to be talking to you about hospitality and tourism in a more general sense, what it's like here in Ireland. So maybe as a starting point, I will share my screen and we can start the presentation. Okay, so I hope everybody can see the slides clearly. Okay, great. So as I mentioned, I'm joined by two of my colleagues, and they're going to talk you through some topics in a little bit more detail. But just before we start that, I'd like to maybe give you a very brief overview of, I think, some important facts for you to know about Ireland itself. So firstly, Ireland is known as the land of 100,000 welcomes. So in our native language, which is Irish, that is Céad Míle Fáilte. So 100,000 welcomes. So for this reason, I think Ireland is the perfect place for a student to consider pursuing their studies. Hospitality and welcome, and I suppose welcoming others is definitely a part of our culture. It's a part of our heritage in Ireland. And this is why we really love to see people from all over the world coming to Ireland to study and to live and to enjoy what Ireland has to offer. Ireland is also the only English-speaking country in the Eurozone. So while we do have our own native language, which is Irish, English is actually the language that is spoken day to day here in Ireland. So for you, if you did decide to come and study in Ireland, you don't need to worry about picking up another language or worry about maybe when you go to the supermarket that things will be in different languages. Everything will be through English, so you won't have to worry about that. And of course, then all of your classes and lectures and everything will also be through English. Ireland is also ranked one of the friendliest and safest countries in the world. And that's ranked on the Global Peace Index. So again, that's really, really important for anyone who is planning on studying abroad. So of course, you are not just going to a country to study, you're also going to be going to live in this country. So it's really important that in the place that you choose for your studies, that you really feel safe, that you feel happy, you feel comfortable. And this is something that you really need to consider. So you are not only going to study, you're also going to live in this country. So it's really important that you have that sense of security and safety. Ireland, we're very globally connected. This is partially because of our location. We're located kind of in between Europe and the USA, so we kind of become a hub for a lot of European headquarters for multinational companies. So for that and some other reasons as well, is why we have a lot of multinational companies here in Ireland. And for those of you who are hospitality students, all of these people that come to work and live and enjoy Ireland, also others that come to visit Ireland as tourists or as business people, all of these people need somewhere to stay. They need places to socialize. They need cultural events to go to. So all of these things feed into the very vibrant and very important hospitality and tourism sector that we have here in Ireland. In Ireland, we are also very invested in research. So research would be very, very important on a national level here, and the government does invest substantially in research every single year. We're a very culturally diverse country now as well. So we do have people from all over the world who have come to Ireland and decided to make Ireland their home. So it means that, you will see people from all different parts of the world, living here in Ireland, which is really, really lovely as well. And everybody brings something new, and then a lot of people as well will take on a lot of the Irish cultures as well. So it's a lovely blend and a lovely mix of cultures here. If you do come to study in Ireland, you do have the opportunity to work part-time while you are studying. So during your term time, you can work part-time in the evenings, at the weekends, and then during your vacation periods or your holiday periods, you can work full-time hours, giving you really good opportunities to earn while you study. And this makes Ireland a really good destination for students who are, looking at the return on their investment. So, you're investing a lot into your education, into your studies. So, of course, it's really important then that you are getting this investment back to you. There's also fantastic stay back options here in Ireland. So, as part of your graduate visa, our undergraduate students can stay back and work in Ireland for an additional year after their studies. And our postgraduate students can stay back and work in Ireland for 2 years after their studies. And then listed here, I've also just put in our minimum wage categories here in Ireland. So if you look at these salaries or these wages, this is the absolute minimum that you can be paid in Ireland. So of course, there's lots of people that are on more money than this, but it's really important to see that these are the minimum wages of the country. And if you compare them to a lot of other European countries, you'll see that Ireland is definitely one of the highest in Europe. So again, a great opportunity for that return on investment piece. So that is a quick overview of Ireland, and just to give you a flavour of why I think it's a really good option for people to consider for further studies. And so just to move on quickly then to the topics that we're going to speak about today. So I'd now like to introduce you to Dr. Sean T. Ruan. And he's going to talk to you a little bit about hospitality and tourism, and give you a real overview of what it's like here in Ireland. So over to you, Dr. Sean.
Thank you very much, Sarah. So just to check that everybody can hear me, because I'm using earbuds here today to try and keep the noise down. So it's a great pleasure to join you all this afternoon or this evening. I know it's late in the evening over there in your country. It's actually a rare, nice sunny day here in Ireland. I'm looking out at the nice sunshine in Ireland, so it's good to see that too. Before I get started, to talk a little bit about myself. I'm one of the lecturers in Shannon College for the past 25 years. I started out my career when I finished high school to train as a chef. So I did a 2-year program in a college in the north of our country here in Ireland, and worked in the industry for 12 years before joining the Shannon College of Hotel Management around 2000. I actually was one of Sarah O'Mahony's teachers when she was in the Shannon College of Hotel Management, and she lived to tell the tale, so that's great. I'm a passionate person in terms of hospitality and tourism. It's very important to our economy here in Ireland, as you'll hear me talk about in a few minutes. But more generally, I'm just very interested in people. And that dials up very well for our industry here. I like to talk to my students and tell our students, particularly that are not Irish, Irish people are instinctively nosy, which actually works to our advantage for tourism, because we're always curious to know where people that are not Irish are from. We like to engage with them. We like to talk with them and find out about their culture and about where they're from. And that's something that all tourists appreciate when they're traveling to other destinations. So my talk with you this afternoon or this evening is going to cover Ireland specifically. We're going to talk about the tourism product in Ireland. We're going to talk about main source markets. So in case you're not familiar with what that term means, it's in simple terms, it means where do tourists come from? So for your country, what are the main countries that people come to your country from? And they will be described as source markets. An acronym that's used in our industry is DMO, or Destination Management Organizations. And even though we're a very small country, as you'll see, we have two of them, and I'll explain why later on. I'll go into a little bit of detail about the Irish economy so that you can see where tourism is positioned within that. It's actually a very important part of our economy. And then we'll finish up talking about hospitality in Ireland more broadly, which will fit in nicely then with what Celine is going to talk to you about. So maybe if we move up the slide there, Sarah, please. Sarah's already told you a lot about Ireland, but just to remind you again as to where we are, we're strategically positioned on the edge of Europe. And that has always served very well for us here in Ireland. Historically, before jets, before aircraft that we now are familiar with and take for granted, people sailed around the world predominantly to get from one destination to the next. We have a great tradition of shipbuilding here in Ireland. So in the north of our country, the very famous ship, the Titanic, was built. And that's how people would have navigated around the world. And then when aviation did start to appear, it was in the form of flying boats. And this is where it brings it very much into the realm of Shannon and where we are positioned on the west coast of Ireland. It wasn't for the faint-hearted. First and foremost, those aircraft were not pressurized. They did not fly above the weather. You were tossed around like a cork in a bottle. It was very expensive. So the average ticket would have been about $400 per ticket, which would be tens of thousands of euros or dollars in today's economy. So it was really the preserve of the wealthy and the famous, such as Hollywood movie stars. They would have been coming from the United States of America, heading to Europe, but the aircraft could not make that distance. So they had to touch down in Shannon on the west coast of Ireland in a place called Foynes, where we had set up back in the 1930s, the first flying boat station in Ireland. And that started our long-running connection with aviation, and particularly with North America, which is Canada and the United States. So then in about 1947, after World War II, there was a sort of a hybrid or a hiatus in the industry during World War II. Aviation took off again, pardon the pun, and this time it was in the form of landed aircraft. So these were aircraft that could land on wheels on the ground. A very famous aviator called Charles Lindbergh, who was known for flying direct from the States to Paris nonstop. He was tasked by the Irish government as a consultant to pick a location on the western seaboard of our country where a land plane base could be built, and he happened to pick Shannon. So a very famous man called Brendan O'Regan, who had been the manager of the flying boat station at Foynes, was then appointed by the Irish government in the 1940s to run Shannon Airport. And why am I talking about Brendan? Well, he is also the man that started Shannon College of Hotel Management. An entrepreneur, very adventurous man, took the attitude if he didn't find something that he thought would be of use, he'd go and do it himself. So back in those days, there was no college in Ireland that you could study hotel management. He had studied hotel management in Switzerland himself. So he'd, like a lot of entrepreneurs, he built it himself. So he started the first Shannon College of Hotel Management in the airport, using facilities at the airport with 12 students. And all these years later, we're still in operation. So Ireland, like I said, is strategically positioned in a tourism context because it was for a long number of years the crossroads of the world. So traffic coming from North America going into Europe would have to touch down in Ireland, and that really kickstarted our tourism industry. So if you move us up there, Sarah, please. So in terms of hospitality and tourism in Ireland, we are not blessed with weather, as in a consistent level of weather. So that's certainly not a reason why people come to us, but they come to us predominantly for our culture. And really, any literature you might read about travel and tourism around the world, one of the key pull factors for people, in other words, an attractor for people coming to a destination, is the local culture of the people and the landscape and the music and the art, the literature, but predominantly actually the people that live in those destinations. That's a great attractor for people to come. We're always looking for a point of difference when we travel. We don't generally like to go to places that look exactly like where we live. So we're looking for something different, and that difference is a great attractor for tourism. We also have a lot of very famous golf clubs in Ireland and places to play golf. More recently, you might be aware that Rory McIlroy, who is from the island of Ireland, has won the Masters in Augusta in Atlanta there about 2 weeks ago, I think. So we're well positioned in terms of that very high-end tourism product, which is incentive travel. So lots of companies in the United States would send their top performing executives to Ireland as a reward for doing well in their career. So they might put them up in some of our 5-star hotels around the country, and then they get to play some of our beautiful parkland and links courses that are along the coast of Ireland. We have a huge, thousands of years old tradition of literature and of music in Ireland. That's another attractor for why people come here. They also come for the landscape. If you're living in an urban setting anywhere in the world, including your own country, and you're surrounded by concrete and tall skyscrapers, to get away from that and come to a country like Ireland that still has a large amount of open space that's unspoiled, with lots of nature all around, it's a lovely way to renew yourself and recharge your batteries. So hiking and walking and all those types of products that are on the screen there are what attract people to come for those reasons. So if we move up the slide again there, Sarah, please. So there are 3 main reasons why people come to Ireland that are on your screen there now. Landscape. So that is an atypical scene on the left-hand side there of what you might see around Ireland. Now, historically, that little house that you see there in that photograph is what Irish people would have lived in up to 100 years ago. It's called a cottage. The roof is used as a thatched roof, so it's reeds that are grown in wet areas of Ireland would have been harvested and would have been dried and used to put the roof on the building. It would be stones similar to the wall that you see in the foreground of that photograph that would be used to build the physical structure of the house. And then to heat the house, we would have used peat, which is a fossil fuel that would have been plentiful in our country that we would have harvested. And that's how a lot of Irish people were brought up in that kind of setting. It was very famously portrayed in a movie called The Quiet Man, which was filmed in Ireland in 1952 by John Ford, a very famous Hollywood director, with John Wayne, who's a very famous American actor, and one of our very famous Irish actors, Maureen O'Hara. And it was a real play on traditional Irish culture about matchmaking and how a young couple might be matched together for wedding purposes. Comedy, so it's a lot of humor in it, but more importantly, from a tourism perspective, it was shot on location here in Ireland. So it did a fantastic job at showcasing what Ireland has to offer in terms of tourism. So culture is another attractor for Ireland. So our music, our literature, our dance, like the 2 ladies you're seeing in the middle photograph there, attracts an awful lot of people to come here. And then the Irish people themselves. So like I said, we're naturally curious. We do engage with tourists. We like to talk to them. And that's something that always works to good advantage for us here in Ireland. So if we go to the next slide there, Sarah, please. So our main source markets would be, as you see there on the right-hand side, you have Britain or the UK, you have North America, which would be Canada and the United States, mainland Europe, and we have an emerging market now of Asia. So the part of the world that you all live in and hail from, with the advances of connectivity with Emirates, with Etihad, and with Qatar Airlines, all positioned in the Middle East, we are now only one stop away from markets such as Australia, Indonesia, Thailand, China, Japan. one stop, as in a stop in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, or in Doha, and next thing you arrive in Ireland. So that has been great in terms of developing new source markets for us going forward. Having all your eggs in one basket is never a good idea in business. So we are always looking to diversify and welcome people from different parts of the world, and the advances in aviation are allowing us to do that. Okay, Sarah, if we move again, please. So how do they know about us? You know, the modern era, we're now using technology for our webinar today. We're using the internet, we're using the World Wide Web. I'm of a generation where I remember life before all those advances in technology. So historically, guidebooks would have been how people around the world would have read up about different destinations. And there's a famous guidebook author called Bradshaw in the UK that wrote guidebooks back in the early 19th century that would have been used by the well-off people in society in places like in England to read up about destinations. So you'd have had your book with you when you'd have gone on tours, and it would have given you ideas as to where to go, how to get there, places to see, local currencies, etc. Thomas Cook was the very first travel agent in the world who started pricing and packaging tours together again for people in places like the UK. And up until the advent of the internet, we were heavily invested as tourists in using travel agents to package tours together for us if we wanted to travel somewhere. So you'd go into a shop on your high street, you would explain to the travel agent where it is you wanted to go, what length of time you wanted to stay, and they would come back with a range of options for you, and including then booking it for you, handing you your ticket and your itinerary that have booked all your hotel accommodations, etc. So those two agents would have been very useful for advancing Ireland as a tourism destination. Once people travel, which we all do, friends and family, and hearing from friends and family about places that they've gone to, the traditional word of mouth, as we have described it, is still probably the most highly sought after referral that we use for travel, because we're always kind of suspicious that what an agent or a hotel or an airline might tell us about their product, of course, is only ever going to be good. They're not going to tell us anything negative. So we're always more interested to know, well, what do the people that use that service think of it? And that's where word of mouth comes in. So historically, that would literally have been people talking to each other. But now again, with technology, TripAdvisor and other such platforms are still doing the same job, but it's curated on the internet through those sites. So a lot of people will check on places like TripAdvisor to see what kind of commentary or referrals have been made by other people who have come to that destination or who have used that service or that product. And that brings us right up to the internet. So that has been a huge disruptor in travel and tourism. It's good for us as customers because it puts us in a very powerful position. We're able to do an awful lot of research from the comfort of our home before we ever even travel to the destination. So it takes a lot of the mystery and a lot of the risk out of travel because we are now better informed. But for the industry, it has probably been the biggest thorn in our side because now customers have full view of things like rates, occupancy, all those types of things that we'd probably, if we were being truthful, would prefer if they weren't as open to the market as they are. So next slide there, Sarah, please. So I mentioned at the start of the talk for you today that we have two destination management organizations in Ireland. And if you look at us on a map, you'd wonder, well, why do we need two? We're not a huge landmass by any means. So Fáilte, Sarah would have said at the start of the talk today, Céad Míle Fáilte, or 100,000 welcomes in English. The Fáilte is welcome. So Fáilte Ireland, literally Welcome Ireland, is translated, is tasked with promoting predominantly domestic tourism in Ireland and a little bit probably from the UK, whereas Tourism Ireland are very much looking at the island of Ireland and they're promoting us out into the greater world to try and attract tourists to Ireland. So in any given year, we'd have about 9 to 9.5, 10 million visitors per year coming here to Ireland from those source markets like North America, the UK, Europe, and now more recently from wider afield, such as Asia. So it's good that we have two companies in Ireland that are answerable to their government, or to our government, and their whole focus is looking at how we can better market what we have to offer to the world, because we're competing obviously with other markets around the world. Customers now have a choice of where they want to go to. But another added advantage for us as a tourism destination that Sarah mentioned is our perceived safety. So we're a very friendly nation, but we're also perceived as being a very safe nation where there are no conflicts, there are no threats, that tourists might feel safer maybe coming to a country like Ireland than maybe possibly going to other destinations which don't have that same reputation. So that's also a good, working to good advantage for us in a tourism context. Next slide there, Sarah, please. So in terms of the impact on the economy, some of you, I don't know, maybe have studied economics at this stage in your studies, or you might have done it in your high schools. And we talk about direct and indirect and induced contributions to tourism. There's on average a little over 275,000 people in Ireland employed directly by tourism. So they're working in hotels, they're working in our restaurants, bars, attractions, and the money that they earn, the wages that they earn, are filtered out around the local economy in which they work, which is a huge added advantage, particularly for the western part of our country. So the capital of our country is located on the east coast of Ireland. It's called Dublin. Foreign direct investment in the form of companies from outside of Ireland predominantly like to cluster around capital cities or certainly main urban areas. So Dublin does well in an employment context because of the presence of those companies. But it's a tougher ask for the more rural parts of Ireland to come up with stable employment that are going to keep people in those rural areas of Ireland. And tourism does a great job at doing that. So in terms of direct contributions from tourism, that's such as our accommodation, such as hotels, hostels, bed and breakfasts. Our transportation is heavily dependent on tourism. Our entertainment economy, and particularly our nighttime economy, is heavily invested in tourism. So that could be theatres, it could be comedy clubs, it could be live music events that get played at night. They're all heavily dependent on our travel and tourism industry as well. But then, like I said, things like supermarkets and other businesses that don't directly sell to tourists predominantly or selling to the local people, but the money that the local people make in tourism gets filtered into those economies as well in terms of the induced contribution. Okay, next slide, Sarah, please. So tourism's contribution globally, I mean, we had those years during COVID from 2020, 2021, 2022, that if you're historically looking back over the contribution of tourism globally, you would see it literally fall off a cliff. There'd be a huge dip in the graph during those years because we were literally trapped at home. Thanks to COVID, we were told stay at home, we couldn't travel. Our whole industry collapsed in terms of cash flow because there was nobody flying, there was nobody coming to stay in hotels. So it was a very worrying time during our industry. But I always look on the positives, and the positive of that time period was it allowed us as a population around the world to really learn to appreciate how much we like travel and how much we value the ability to travel from one country to another and to see different cultures and to meet different people. And as soon as COVID became controlled and vaccines became more prevalent and we were allowed back out into the world again, we were back with abundance. So conservative economists at the time were saying it could have taken 5 to 10 years to recover back to the levels of travel that we would have had up to 2019. And the good news story for you today is that that happened a lot sooner. So some markets recovered in as little as 2 years because of that desire that people have to travel. We're naturally wired to want to travel, and when we're allowed to do so, we do so in droves. So globally, tourism as a global contribution, 10.9 trillion, which includes direct, indirect, and induced impacts on economies globally. 10% of the global economy. It contributes to 357 million jobs globally, or 1 in 11 jobs are in the tourism-related fields. And I'm sure in your own country, similar to Ireland, a lot of people earn their livelihood through tourism. Next slide there, Sarah, please. So in terms of the Irish economy then, there's about 2.7 million people employed in Ireland, so of working age that they can actually contribute to the economy in terms of employment. The labour force by occupation, we have a lot of land in Ireland, rural landscape, so agriculture is another contributor to our economy, 5%. Industry, in the terms of, Sarah mentioned on one of her slides earlier, the tech companies such as Facebook or Meta, as they're now called, are present here in Ireland. So industry has about 11%, and then services, of which travel and tourism, that's the segment that would contribute to 84%. We have a very low unemployment rate at 4.3%. Our government would actually say that we're at full employment with that level of unemployment. GDP, purchasing power, real, 609.9 billion up to 2023. GNP, $5.8 billion up to 2023, and exports 196 billion of goods, which is why the whole world is holding its breath at the moment in terms of tariffs. So we're not just about tourism, we do export an awful lot of food and goods and services out of Ireland to other markets such as the United States, particularly. So we're all waiting with our breath held to see how things are going to play out in terms of tariffs. But certainly from a tourism perspective, our markets at the moment are holding steady. So that's good, because we're always going to be conscious how would a nervous economy globally impact on travel, but so far it seems to be holding its own. Next slide there, Sarah, please. So just to give you a sense of some of the exports that we do by product. So we've commodities, that's anything from food. So we have fantastic food in Ireland. We have a fantastic dairy industry. We export a huge amount of cheese, yogurts, seafood in the form of salmon, smoked salmon, oysters, lobster, export an awful lot of those. We manufacture a lot of machinery in Ireland. So we export a lot of those. Chemicals and pharma is another big industry for us here in Ireland. In fact, a lot of the vaccines that were used to control COVID would have had parts of their recipe, for want of a better word, would have been made here. The drinks industry is very important to us as well. We have some very fine micro distilleries here in Ireland that are exporting gins and whiskies all around the world. We export a lot of animals, both live and in the form of meat, all over the world. And like I said, food is also a very important part of our export market. And then the next slide, I think, is going to look at our imports. So if you move that on there, Sarah, please. So because we're so small, a lot of what we need, we can actually produce here ourselves. But globalization has meant that an awful lot of what we all use in our different countries are coming from different parts of the world. So for that reason, then you can see there's a variety of different, similar to what we'd export, we actually have to import some of those same products as well. If we're selling them out, then we're sometimes buying them in to satisfy our own markets here. So next slide there again, Sarah, please. So then to come to the hospitality piece of the whole discussion here, this is the Irish Tourism Industry Confederation, is a body here in Ireland that produce statistics, and they do it by month. So I have the one for July 2024 up there for you at the moment. I couldn't find the ones for 2025 yet, but you can see there that North America, Great Britain and mainland Europe, like I would have said, are still our main source markets in terms of visitation. And the rest of the world then will cover that segment that I talked about in terms of Asia and opening up those markets for us. Visiting friends and family, that's what VFR stands for, would be a huge contributing factor to people, particularly from places like North America. So that's Canada and the United States coming here. We have a very long history of emigration from Ireland to the United States in particular, and also to Canada. So over 80 million people in the United States alone can attribute their ancestry in some form or other back to Ireland. And they're always curious then to come and visit the homeland of their grandfathers and their grandmothers or great-grandfathers and great-grandmothers and see where they were brought up and to make that connection. So in the modern era, the United States of America is thousands, millions of years old. But as we know it as a country today, it's just a little over 250 years old since it would have gotten its independence from Great Britain. So Americans in general are always intrigued to visit countries like Ireland and also your own country, where they will find structures that are thousands of years old, where they get that sense of history, and also get to experience completely different culture to what they get to experience back in the United States. So hospitality in Ireland, we have a little over 800 hotels around the country of Ireland, ranging in standard from 3 to 4 to 5-star hotels. A lot of them are located, like I said, in rural parts of Ireland, where people, they're like a resort where people go and it becomes the destination. They're not going there because they want somewhere to stay. They're going there to experience what the destination has to offer in terms of the hotel itself. Again, our North American visitors coming from Canada and the United States are intrigued that they can come to Ireland and stay in a real castle. So it's not something that has been manufactured like you'd see in Hollywood. It is the genuine article. It is hundreds of years old. They are still standing. They obviously weren't built originally as hotels, but we have a number of them that over the years have been refurbished from family homes and turned into hotels. And lots of people from around the world just really enjoy the experience of staying in a structure that is hundreds and hundreds of years old. So they get to live like a lord or a lady in their own minds for a couple of days, in very luxurious surroundings, eating excellent food, and having a very, very relaxing time for themselves. So next slide, and I think we're coming towards the end of my segment here. So yes, I'm going to hand you over to Celine, my colleague Celine, who's going to talk about the whole sustainability piece of tourism, which obviously for all countries, including your own, is extremely important. So over to you, Celine.
Thanks, Sean. I enjoyed that. It's great to hear a colleague in action. I enjoyed that. Thanks very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Celine Ryan. I'm one of the lecturers in Shannon College on the undergraduate and postgraduate programs. And I'm just very excited that so many of you have joined on with us this evening to hear about who we are and what we can do in Ireland for you if you're thinking of coming this way. It's a very exciting time, but probably difficult as well to make up your mind where the right opportunity is for you, because this is a big investment for your future, for your capability, for your career, and also financially and otherwise. I saw some of the really valid questions going into the chat there as Sarah, my colleague, was answering you all. So if there's any questions towards the end, I'm happy to talk as well. If I can help with anything, I live in the area here. So culturally, I may know some things that can help, but also I may be teaching some of you in time. So if you want to talk about assessments and inclusivity around those things, I'll stay on at the end to talk to anyone who wants to ask any questions, or via your agent, you're so welcome to follow up with me afterwards. So the areas I teach in Shannon are in relation to management and marketing, really. But I have in more recent years have more and more interest in the concept of sustainability and aspects of carbon literacy and our impact on the world around us. As my colleague, Dr. Sean, identified there so well, you know, it is our landscape that makes us so incredible, and we need to preserve it and make sure that we are not managing our land here in a way that's not sustainable in terms of how the humans are interacted with, how the landscape is and the waterways and so on. So there's a big movement in Ireland around that. And today I want to talk to you just about why Ireland maybe is a hub and is developing itself in the area of sustainable tourism and what that means to us. I also want to talk to you a little bit about the UN Sustainable Development Goals. They're something that I embed into a lot of my classes in Shannon so that they become very normalized as part of our day-to-day living in how we consume, how we produce. And it's not just actually about the ecological impact, but also the human side of it. Because if you look at the UN Sustainable Development Goals, you know, you've probably seen them as a grid, but I'd encourage you to look them up as a pyramid. And when they're denoted as a pyramid, the base is always human first. So in terms of decent quality of work, the ecosystems that we live in, and that there are communities being built, which is a real movement in Ireland, which I think could be so valid for you to come and experience, to see our way of doing things if you come to Ireland, whether you want to stay here afterwards, as Sarah has mentioned, that there are options to stay back after study, but also if you wanted to bring that knowledge back to give yourself that head start in your career when you return home, to have international insights on how we're doing things here. And who knows, maybe you could bring your insights to us here as well, to position yourselves well in Ireland, because we are in a phase of development in this as well ourselves. I want to talk to you briefly, finally, then, just in terms of markets and how what we're doing is appealing to markets internationally, and maybe leaning on somewhat of what you've introduced already, Dr. Sean. So hopefully the two talks will line up quite well for you. So my talk's only about 10-15 minutes with you. And just to begin, I wanted you to see this lovely picture here. This is actually some of the students in Shannon College who actually visited a farm here, and as the imagery that Sean has already shown, you can see the beautiful stone walls and the culture and the heritage that's behind those and how they were built, but also the way of life that's here, and how farming and the love of the land is so embedded in what we do and has become part of the tourist experience while people are visiting. So this is possibly you in a photo this time next year if you come to visit, and you can become part of our college and come on these cultural excursions with us as we head around. Okay, let me just move on my slides here. There we go. Okay, so Ireland is a global hub for hospitality and tourism. There are obviously a set of global standards that are set out for us in terms of travel and the impact that it has in the world. Now, there are some misnomers out there that, you know, aviation is so bad for the world. And of course, it has a carbon footprint, but in relation to what is really doing the damage internationally, you know, there are much bigger demons out there, like refrigeration and so on, and what it's doing. So we're trying to change the narrative somewhat to understand that actually travel and tourism is so important, not just for us to enjoy ourselves and to relax, but also in terms of peace, in terms of a global community, in terms of economic trade. There's so many positives to it, and it's not necessarily having the ecological impact that people are attuning to it all the time. The Irish government is really trying to look at the international standards and learn more and more about how we can embody the values, okay? So how we're trying to manage tourist destinations in a way that makes sense, and that there's a good balance between the human side of it and the ecology, as I mentioned to you already, okay? We see in Ireland now in the last few years that there's lots and lots of businesses, micro enterprises, all the way up to larger scale organizations in hospitality and tourism, joining what's called a Leave No Trace initiative here in Ireland. And we're becoming a lot more alert that really here in Ireland, we are custodians of this island for the next generation. And that our duty is actually to hand it better to the next generation than we received it in. So it's really part of the narrative in terms of education, in terms of employment, strategies on the island of Ireland. And it would be hopefully something you'd enjoy learning about while you were here if you come to Ireland. The CSO, which is our statistics office, and I know Sean had mentioned some of their stats already for you, it shows that hospitality and tourism here in Ireland is 10.5 billion for us, okay, in 2022. Now that was, like Sean, that was the most up-to-date figure I could find for us. It takes a while for the figures to filter through and to be verified. But that shows that in Ireland, at that time when we were in COVID times, that 1 in 9 to 1 in 10 jobs were directly related to hospitality and tourism. And even I remember, it's only a couple of years ago, our students and people who were here studying, while there were restrictions in place, there were certain things that were allowed to sustainably allow us into hospitality and tourism, because it's so important for us all socially, in terms of community, in terms of mental health and otherwise. And so many of our students actually retained their jobs throughout that period. Sarah, I think you mentioned that they're allowed to work 20 hours a week in term time. Then obviously when you're on downtime from the college, you can pick up more hours and so on. And so many of our students were actually remained in jobs in hospitality, supervising and managing properties worth millions, and ensuring that whatever level of operations, whether they were opened or closed at that time, that the properties were well looked after and maintained and so on. So it's such an important thing, and it just shows how our government really is prioritising this industry in Ireland, and it's one that offers employment opportunities from, you know, direct entry from school level all the way up to active retirement, where people perhaps want to have a part-time role when they have retired out of another career. And you have people from basic levels of education all the way, you know, to the sky's the limit, that are constantly educating themselves. So it's such a fantastic and diverse industry here in Ireland, and so very important for us. A spotlight was shone in Ireland in more recent years with the likes of Lonely Planet awarding a global award to the Burn Ecotourism Network. So we're located in County Clare, which is, you know, within this arm's reach of this. And if you want to look that up, it's just a fantastic success story for them getting that Eco Award. You have about 60 enterprises working together collectively, not competing with one another, but actually collaborating to make sure that I, as a, you know, as a local guest, if I wanted to do a staycation in Ireland, or you perhaps if you came as a tourist to Ireland, get the best possible experience, but also that things are being done sustainably. They have this utter commitment to make sure that they're doing things right and that they're not damaging what is on offer. And we've continued with that pattern of drawing international attention to what we do here in Ireland. With Donegal won a regional award that came fourth globally. And all of this is part of the story of what's called the Wild Atlantic Way on the edge of Ireland, the Wild Atlantic Way. So if you want to look that up, you might enjoy having a look at, there's videos on YouTube, there's a lot of influencers and people involved in travel documentaries who've come and done that route. And they've been able to show a very authentic version of what Ireland is about on the West Coast, where we're situated in Shannon College and the University of Galway. And you can see actually how we are embedded. We are part of that story to make sure that things are done the right way. So our landscapes, our scenery, these are the main draw for tourists when it comes to consumer behaviour, why they come. I would say it's not necessarily why people come back, though. It is that welcome. It is the people. And I would say very much the diversity in Ireland now. You know, while there's many Irish people, there's so many people coming from around the world to make Ireland their home, whether it's for study or working in those international head offices and so on. And it's just quite an open place to be, where people are experiencing various cultures, foods, religions, ideologies, and so on. I'm very open to that we're in that learning space. So actually, when it comes to sustainability, that's part of the story as well, not just the ecology of the landscape and the scenery, and we have to protect them, but also it is the people, of course, as part of that. So move on here. With sustainability in the SDGs, you may or may not have studied these. They are embedded into the curriculum of some countries with school and university. Some aren't there yet, or they haven't really engaged with them. But from my perspective, when I consider sustainability in Ireland, I mentioned to you that I'm looking at the human side of it. The ecology is really, really important. But a lot of this is driven by what staff want to do and be involved in, and also what customers and consumers want to consume. So the two main SDGs that I would be focusing on would be SDG 8, which would be in relation to decent economic work. And Sarah, thanks for showing the minimum wage. I mean, that gives an indication of the fairness and the regulation that's here to ensure that people know what their worth is and what they can ask for when they come in here working in Ireland, even if they only have a moderate level of experience, what they can expect to get paid and so on. So that is a really important part of the SDGs for us here in Ireland, that people are looked after well and that there are fair ways of working and reasonable pay. But also in terms of SDG 12, which is to do with responsible consumption and production here in Ireland, we're trying to be more and more mindful of the effect and two-step thinking in how things are produced, consumed, the waste management and so on. And there's so many initiatives around that. You know, our ultimate goal is to give customers what they want and to make a profit. But here in Ireland, we have moved on from that basic view of marketing and selling ourselves to really to a triple bottom line, where it's people, planet and profit. And that we're making sure that whether it's the staff or the consumers are getting the best experience that they can. The planet then is being respected, and that we're not eroding what resources we have. And it could be just something as simple as a sustainable menu, and that we're offering things seasonally. And of course, then the profit comes afterwards. You know, this is a successful country, and with the profit, we can reinvest, and we can invest in things like technology and so on that I've mentioned here on the screen. But these are the things that we're looking to in Ireland within the SDGs. We are aiming to achieve all 17, of course, within the government initiatives and what has been done at local government level as well. But very much trying to embody those two within our industry, 8 and 12. Okay, so examples here on screen if you'd like to look up. Maybe some of you are studying and you're looking for some interesting examples to bring to an essay or an exam in the next few weeks. You might like to look at things like the use of technology here in Ireland and what we're doing. So we're embracing AI and various technology and developments to help us with advancing, you know, how systems are ran in properties, how things are built to begin with, and so on. And we see in Ireland there's a big movement around eco-friendly stays. So there's tech and advances around that to help with lighting, heating, and just reducing waste and taking that out of the system. Some examples you might like to look up, and all based in Clare, again, just in our ecosystem here in Shannon College, would be the likes of Sheen Falls Hotel, Hotel Doolin, which was Ireland's first carbon neutral hotel, and B Corp activity in the Armada Hotel in Spanish Point. Now, B Corp obviously being Benefit Corp, there's 5 things that they have to do to get that accreditation. And if you met John Burke, who's a graduate of the college, and his passion to make sure that these things are happening within his property, it's just so inspiring, because he doesn't see this as a chore. It's just very much part of who he is and his mindset of how he's running his business sustainably to make sure I'm getting my best possible experience as a guest there. Sarah, if she worked there, she was going to enjoy her time, but also not having an impact in a negative way in the community around them, in the water that they're beside, in the land, and so on. In terms of culture here in Ireland, as I've mentioned, it comes through in our education piece and things that are facilitated via government. And one example would be mentioning Fall to Ireland again, that Dr. Shaw mentioned there, and they have a climate action guide. So again, you can look these things up if you'd like to have a look at what we're doing here in Ireland. And these things would be embedded into our curriculum, and ensuring that you have these guides that are available to make things normalised and available. There's no gatekeeping here. This information is available and open source for people to use, engage, and learn from, because we're all in this together. Food production is something, of course, in Ireland, we love food. We love the weather, talking about the weather, and we love talking about food. So with food production, it's really important to us that food has a certain level of quality. It's fuel, it's something that adds to an experience. It very much adds to celebrations. And even sad times in Ireland, when, let's say, if there's a funeral on, food will be a really important part of that culturally for us, where we sit together and break bread and talk about someone if they've passed away. And food production over the years, we're an agrarian culture here, farming being embedded. Many of us only 1 or 2 generations away from a farm and the likes of the cottage that Sean has showed us. Sorry there, Sarah, that's just coming up on my screen, your email. Thank you. Sorry, I think it's just shared there wrong. That's okay. Thank you. So just with food production, we are working all the time with this mindset and this memory of being from farming backgrounds. An example I give you here is the likes of the Woodlands Hotel in Adair, just a few miles out the road from us, ran by graduates of the college. And within that, they started as a farm, and then they went on to become a guest house and then a hotel. I should make a disclaimer, this is a family hotel. My aunt is Mary, and Mary has an organic garden within her former farm, which is now a very successful property in Ireland, the Woodlands in Adair. It might be nice for you to have a look at what they're doing there with initiatives of reducing the carbon footprint to a minimal level, so that the food is literally being grown outside the door, and how we can do those things. Again, opportunities for you to learn. And Hotel Doolin would have a similar insight to what they're doing. Next slide there, Sarah. Thank you. Sorry, I thought I'd control a bit, but it's not clicking on for me. So if you wouldn't mind clicking it on for me, thank you. Okay, now within all of this, it's great to see the businesses driving it on. It's great to see the staff and the initiatives maybe of chefs and what they're growing in the properties. But what is it that the consumers want? Because we have to balance our mindset of sustainable practices with what consumers actually want and need. People are working really hard. So when they come for a tourist experience and for some hospitality, they need to get what they want. So in Shannon College, we have access to a range of databases and consumer research platforms. One I like to look at is Mintel, it's called, and they do have open source information online if you'd like to look up some of their activity. Now, we have a subscription, so we can go very deep and look at a lot of key trends, and our students will be learning from these trends and predictions and bringing that information back to their workplaces, going, this is the next thing, and they try to sustainably then bring that into their menus and so on. So I've put a few examples here around food and drink and what people are looking for. And again, with that mindset of goal, SDG 8 and SDG 12, how we can make those things happen. Main one here would be the responsible consumption and production of things. So within 2025, Mintel have predicted, and this is all based on research that they're doing, surveys, and also things that they're looking in terms of the economics of what's going on. They see that there's a quality focus is really what people are looking for in the food and drink that they are buying in a hospitality setting. And they call that the fundamentally nutritious trend. People are looking for these things. They're becoming more and more aware. And even within the conversation, the research they've given us, it looks at the likes of GLP-1 medicines, Ozempic and otherwise, for people who have diseases such as obesity, and how they're trying to become more aware of less hyper-processed food, more healthy food with less ingredients, quality ingredients, and so on. And from the examples in that research, we're learning how can we up our game and increase the quality of what we're producing in our cafes, restaurants, takeaways, and so on here in Ireland. There's also a lot around the farm to fork idea that I've mentioned in the previous slide. And the idea of hybrid harvest is what they call it. So having things harvesting at different times of the year, using technology, obviously, as best we can, to improve the range of things that we can produce at different times of the year, but also not having an effect on our ecology while we do that. There are certain things that can and can't be grown here in Ireland. So trying to understand that and, to challenge stereotypes around how good or bad certain food products are in terms of their carbon footprint. Supply chain is also something that we saw in recent years with different disruptions that had happened. And that's the chain reaction trend, where with things such as wars happening, COVID and disruption to travel, as Dr. Shaw mentioned, there is an issue there with people having access to what they want and when they want. And how do we make sure that what we offer is going to be sustainably available at all times? So just again, helping us as managers, business people, chefs, how do we make sure that we're offering something that is sustainable and going to be manageable? Or if we're going seasonal, what's the lead times and how do we manage those things? They also have things like rule rebellion, actually, which sometimes is the contradictory element of us as consumers, where the first observation and trend was, you know what, we want really good, healthy food. The last one was rule rebellion, that actually when we want to treat, we really want to treat. And you're seeing things like 1,000-calorie cookies, and people are buying them and loving them. So these are things that we have to understand, and we don't judge our customers. We just make sure we're giving them what they want, and we're trying to do it in a sustainable fashion. Okay, so there's lots of things out there if you wanted to look up to see what's happening globally and also in Ireland and the UK, what we're doing over here. Here in Ireland, we are very respectful of food. And as I say, it's a really important part of our culture day to day in our home lives, in our work, in our hospitality and so on. So while you're here, potentially in Shannon, if you'd like to apply and come to us, I think you develop maybe skills around researching, around insights, around perspectives that we have and why we do what we do. So whether you wanted to stay in Ireland or return home, as I've mentioned previously, you may get some insights that would be helpful for you and give you just that edge for your career as you move forward. And the goal in Shannon is that we would show you how to find these things for yourself so that when you finish in the college, these are things that will get you to a career all the way to the year 2070, 2077, and so on, okay? Because think about what you need to know to sustainably manage a property 50 years into the future. And it's all about understanding markets and consumers, as well as balancing that with the technology and the eco-friendly approach to managing things. Can I have the last slide there, Sarah? Thank you. Thank you. So I'm just gone slightly over. I just wanted to mention us in Shannon, and I know, Sarah, you're going to explain this as well, but from my perspective as someone who works here and lives in the area, you know, we are part of University of Galway, which is the main campus just about an hour max away from us. And here in Shannon, we're really proud to be ranked 100 to 150 globally for hospitality and leisure in QS rankings. I appreciate the agents here had mentioned QS and how Ireland is being ranked with top quality institutions. And here in University of Galway, which we are part of, we're ranked #1 in Ireland for sustainability. So I just wanted to bring that in as part of the piece. It's not, you know, a rogue teacher here and there teaching about sustainability. It's very much embedded to who we are, and we have been recognised in Ireland as #1 for sustainability in not only our operations and how the institutions are ran, but also our emphasis and our learning outcomes and what it is that we're doing. And it's part of the philosophy that we have in the university, which is learn, live and lead. And that very much is part of the graduate attributes and the ethos of us here in Shannon College, where you learn And with that, then you live with these values and lead into a long and happy career, hopefully, for you all. So that's all I wanted to take you through today. I'll stay on at the end if there's any questions, or of course, you're welcome to follow up with me if any would like to do so. Thanks so much. Sarah, we progress on the slide there for me.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
you so much. Thanks, Celine, and thank you, Sean, for sharing all those insights with us. If it's okay, I know we still have a little bit of time. I might just give you a little overview on the college itself and what we offer at Shannon College of Hotel Management. So as my colleagues have mentioned, and I think Dr. Sean, he gave a great overview of the history of Shannon College and where we came from and our founder and everything like that. So I suppose it is really important to us, our history, our heritage, and I suppose what we, where we've come from, which is really, really important to us. So as Sean would have mentioned, when we started out in 1951, we just had one program available here in Shannon College, and just 12 students on that program. So started off very, very small, but we have grown significantly since that. We now have quite a diverse offering. So we do have an International Foundation Business Program, which is a pathway program that can be used for any students who maybe don't meet the minimum entry requirement to go directly into their degree studies here in Shannon College or in many of the schools within the University of Galway as well. So a really good pathway program for students to make their way into programs in Shannon or in Galway. Our two, I suppose, biggest programs and the ones that attract the most students to our campus would be our two degree programs. So we have the Bachelor of Business Studies in International Hotel Management and the Bachelor of Commerce in International Hotel Management. So these are both level 8 business degrees, so full business degrees, but with a specialization in the hotel and hospitality sector. So within these programs, we have great opportunities for students to combine business studies and hands-on practical learning in the first year. So you learn lots of practical skills as well as your introduction to business. And then built into these two programs, there are also 2 paid work placements. So there is a full 12-month work placement in year 2, where students will go to work in hotels in Ireland for the full 12 months. And then at the end of year 4, there's the final placement. And this is when students can go to work in many different parts of the world. So we have students that go to work across many, many different continents across the world, working with some of our fantastic hotel partners in these places. So both these internships are paid. Our year 2 placement, the average salary is about €23,500. And our final year placement, you'll be looking at between €25,000 and €50,000. So really good earning potential at that stage. We also have 3 master's programs available in Shannon. So the MSc in Business and Hospitality, the MSc in Global Hospitality Management and Intercultural Communication, and the MSc in Hospitality, Performance, Revenue and Asset Management. So these are 3 different master's programs, each 1 year in duration. And each of these programs has an optional 3rd semester. So an option for your 3rd semester. You will do a 3rd semester, but there are options within that semester. So you get the chance to choose from either a research thesis, a paid 3-month internship, and then for those who are doing the business and hospitality masters, they have a 3rd option, and that's to complete a business consultancy project and an intensive summer school. So these are the range of programs that we offer in the college. We also do have opportunities for PhD studies here in Shannon College as well. So great opportunities across all of these areas. These are a few reasons why I think people choose to come and study in Shannon. So Justine, so we are specialists in business and hospitality education, and I think we can move that along a little bit. We're now 74 years, so I obviously didn't update that. So 74 years of experience in this area. So you know, this is something that we are really passionate about. I think you'll definitely have heard that from Celine and from Sean, that we are really passionate about hospitality, about business, about Ireland and tourism, and how Ireland can have an impact around the world as well. We do have expertise in the area of research as well, and that's across business and hospitality, also tourism, and many other areas as well, like language studies and lots of different areas. We have a very strong reputation globally within the hospitality sector. So, you know, people will have heard of Shannon College and will have worked with people from Shannon College. And when you look at the footprint of our alumni, you will really find us across every single corner of the world. You can't escape us. We have a very strong alumni network as well. It's a very close-knit network, which is called the Shannon family. And this is the Shannon family is made up of alumni, of staff, students, and friends of the College of Shannon College of Hotel Management. And within this family, it's a really strong network of individuals that are there to support you and support everyone else in the network. And you will always find that Shannon, that part of the Shannon family are out there helping other parts of the Shannon family to succeed. And that's across different parts of the world, which is really great. And you're joining a campus with excellent student supports. I think because we are a smaller campus, we're a satellite campus of the university. So we don't have thousands of students on our one campus. We're a smaller campus where everybody will be known by name. And I suppose we'll get individual attention. Our academic staff are incredibly supportive of our students, and they always are there to offer, you know, extra advice, extra support when it is needed by students, which is really amazing. There's additional academic supports as well available. So our library team are very supportive, and they help with things like proofreading and academic writing workshops. So especially for somebody who maybe is coming back to education, these supports are really, really important. We have fantastic career supports as well here in the college. So you can join different career support opportunities within the university as a whole. But then there are also great opportunities here within our campus as well, and great ways for you to connect with industry throughout your program. The study structure is very much suited for those who do want to work part-time as well. We would say that you are coming here to study, so that should be your priority, of course. But there is time there for you to also work part-time, which is, of course, really important to a lot of students so that they can make some money to support themselves. Like our country, our classroom is quite diverse. So our classrooms are made up of some people that have come from lots of different parts of the world. And equally, we have very diverse classrooms in that we have people who have worked in the industry for years. We have others who maybe have no experience. Some of our master's students could be coming back with 20 years experience and wanting to complete their master's program. So really diverse and mixed classroom, which is really nice. And I do think that we are inviting you to join a very welcoming and a culturally diverse campus as well. You know, most people that are studying here in Shannon are studying business hospitality, either at undergrad or postgraduate level. So people that are studying hotel management, hospitality, tend to be outgoing, friendly people. And that makes for a really, really friendly, outgoing, and welcoming campus as well. So it makes it a really nice place to study. Just very briefly to mention the application process. So I suppose we're very happy to be doing these seminars here with our colleagues in AECC, and they would be the ones to help you to make any application to the college. So for our undergraduate programs, so if you did want to apply for foundation or degree programs in Shannon, there's no application fee. and you will be you make the application directly to us here in Shannon, and our colleagues in AECC will be able to support you in making those applications. The IELTS requirement for our foundation program is a 5.0, and for our degree programs it's a 6.0. And an additional thing to mention is that we do have a Zoom interview which takes place for every student that comes to Shannon. So we have an interview process for every student who joins us. For postgraduate applications, they go through the online university system, and there is an application fee of €35 for students applying for postgrad. The IELTS requirement for these programs is a 6.5. And again, the guys in AECC will be able to assist you with that application process. I know these were mentioned a little bit earlier in the chat. We do have scholarships that are still available for students to apply for. You'd need to first make your application for the program that you're interested in, and then the next step would be to make your application for your scholarship. So we do have one 50% merit-based scholarship available at undergraduate level this year. Then we have global achievement scholarships available that are worth €2,000 at undergraduate level. And then we have 6 merit-based scholarships, and they are worth €2,000 each at postgraduate level. So these are still open for applications. So if you do make an application for the programs in the next couple of weeks or the next few weeks, you still will have an opportunity to apply for these scholarships. As I mentioned earlier, you're not just coming to Ireland or to Shannon to study. You are coming here to live and experience the culture and see different parts of the country as well. So there's lots of opportunities for you to get involved in different things here in the college. So you can become a student ambassador and get involved in different events that we're having. You can get involved in our clubs, our societies here in the college, get involved in our cultural society, which we've had some fantastic Indonesian nights here in the college, which our Indonesian students have run, where we've all learned lots about Indonesian culture, Indonesian food, dance. So we've had great nights here learning about Indonesia. You can join our sports, our social events. There's lots of competitions that our students take part in. And then our students always take part in different areas of volunteering as well. So lots and lots for you to get involved in here in the college. These are just some of the hotel partners that we work with. So I'd imagine that a lot of these would be very familiar to you. If you want to see the full list of who we're working with each year, you can find this on our prospectus, which you can download from our website, or you can use this link here to download our prospectus as well. So also you'll see here my email address, my LinkedIn. You'll also see the email addresses for our admissions officer, Miss Joan Markham, email for Dr. Sean T. Ruan, and then you have an email address and LinkedIn for Celine Ryan as well. So if you want to connect with any of us, my biggest advice would be, if you are interested, try to follow us on Instagram. I think that's a really good place to start. You'll find there's lots of activity happening on Instagram all the time, and it's a really good place for you to get a sense of what it's like to come to Shannon and be a student here in Shannon. And that is pretty much it for us. I might pass back over to Vito, and I suppose we're very happy also to take any questions that you might have at this stage.
Okay, thank you so much for the insightful webinar and for showing us why Ireland is truly a global hub for hospitality and tourism. So I believe that this session has been really valuable for most of our students here in Indonesia, and I'm also sure that many are very excited for the opportunity to study in Ireland, especially at the University of Galway. So we still have a little bit time if anyone here has any questions. But I also seen there are so many good questions already in the chat box, and Miss Sarah here already answer all the questions there in the chat box. So yeah, thank you for helping us in answering the questions here,
No
Miss Sarah.
problem.
Yeah. So we'll maybe wait for a little bit if there is more questions from the attendees. If there is no more questions, then I believe maybe we can end the event, the webinar.
Sure. Um,
We're all
looks like
shy.
they asked their questions already.
Already, yeah. Okay, yeah. So once more, big thank you to Miss Sarah O'Mahony and Miss Celine Ryan and also Mr. Shanti Ruain for delivering a great presentations. And for those who are here, the attendees especially, who are interested to study at the University of Galway, feel free to contact us and we can support your application, your study counseling, and even visa guidance. So thank you again, everyone. Have a great evening from the attendees from Indonesia, and have a good day in Ireland. Bye bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you so much. Bye
Take care
bye.
all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Welcome to Ireland, the land where tales of legends, ample opportunities,